Hi there. Hi there, my name is Cameron Phillips. I'm 44 years of age, and on the 22nd of March 2006, I became acutely aware that my purpose in life was to be a father. And that was just over 7.5 years ago when my oldest son, Connor Hanson Phillips, gazed into my eyes, only seconds old, reassuring me that my grown heart that was in his hands was in good keeping. And he's held that heart and nurtured that heart. And when his little brother came along, I thought that heart was already full, but when his little brother came along 3.5 years later, I became amazed that a heart already seemingly carrying boundless and infinite love had room for yet another child and more boundless and infinite love. And so this being a fatherhood, apart from being really cool and a great way to impress the chicks, is something that has shaped me every step of the way. In all the interactions I have, the way I see the world, the way I interject in conversations. I'll be on the bus and I'll hear some moms sort of bemoaning the fact that dads aren't pulling their weight at home, and I'll start interjecting in the conversation, maybe to defend the dad or maybe to offer them some pointers on dad's perspective and some challenges that dad might be going through. When I see dads, conversely, when I see dads who aren't stepping up or moaning about having to babysit their kids, I'm like, what do you mean babysit your kids? You're a father. You're a parent. This is what you do. Your wife doesn't babysit your kids. You don't babysit your kids. People who run companies and in their jobs, I ask them, what are they doing for dads in their workplace? HR people I bump into. What initiatives do you have for working fathers? And I think most importantly, though, is just trying to connect with other dads. And that could be at Safeway or on the playground. And it's taking a moment to say something, to acknowledge that this dad is doing something important. And that could be like, oh, Dad, I can see you've got your special helper with you today. Or I'll say something, oh, there's a little girl who is really basking in her daddy's sunshine today. And you see smiles and you have warm, wordless exchanges. But what you're doing is you're validating these men as fathers and letting them know that they feel valued. And as a society, I still think we have dads here and we have moms up here. And I know that my purpose in life is to help challenge people's views on that, and especially men's who value what they do as a living, sometimes more than wearing parenthood as the greatest badge of honor. So. And obviously, this love of fatherhood shapes my view of parenting and my philosophies around parenting. I'm not a perfect parent. I've saved for my children's therapy and not their education, which is probably a good plan. And one day I'll look back and be really pleased that was the one thing I did right as a parent. But I want my children to know that they are loved unconditionally. That doesn't mean their behavior is approved of unconditionally. In fact, when we have behavior problems, we never have a naughty child. We never have a bad child. We never have a good child. It's always good job. Hey, that was a great job you did on cleaning your bedroom. It's not you're a good boy for cleaning your bedroom. Or you're a bad child because you just punched your brother in the forehead for the 11th time. It's about the behavior and empowering them around that behavior. But if my kids can go through life knowing that they are unconditionally loved just for being them, and I tell them that all the time, I love you just because you're you. I ripped that one off from Mr. Rogers about 30 years ago, but the man was way ahead of his time. I don't care what you think of his sweaters and his shoes, he was way ahead of his time. And so if my children can know that, if they can go through life not looking over their shoulder, as so many of us do metaphorically, going, does Dad approve? Do my parents really, really approve of what I'm doing and who I've become? If my kids know that they're loved unconditionally every step of the way, then that's opening a world up to them. They will be looking forward their entire lives. They won't be looking back over their shoulders, and that to me is the greatest gift that I can give to my kids. And so I reinforce that by telling them regularly, not just that I love them, but how much I love being their dad. I mean, everybody loves their kids, right? Even if you can't stand them, we all love our kids. We all love our parents. But I love being your dad. To me is something totally different than I love you. And I show that when we're together in public, and I'm not afraid to be inappropriate for my age, within reason, to show my kids that I'm with them and I'm loving being a dad, and this is so important to me. And and so many other philosophies. I want to guide my children to be great critical thinkers. My kids, as all children do, get, why this, Daddy? Why that, Daddy? And Daddy, if a 3-ton whale was battling Superman with a kryptonite belt, who would win in a, so these questions that you can't answer, or even ones you can, I often meet with, well, what do you think? And I do that for a couple of reasons. One is for my own sanity, to get my children to shut up. Two is to get them thinking, and reasoning, and getting those brain muscles moving to try and figure out problems. And third is to let them know I value what their thoughts are, what their philosophies are, what their thinking is, what they bring to a conversation, even if they're only 3.5 or 7, like my 2 children are. And so with that combination of things, being a father is the single greatest thing in the world to me. And it is the single greatest badge of honor. And at my funeral, when my children get up and standing, all I need them to say is, my dad loved us to death. He was always there for us, and he always respected us. And if I can get those things out of my kids, because I'm not leaving them any money at my funeral, then I will be a happy man.